Hello everybody and welcome to the 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Championship. I'm Jerome McHale here with Michael Kohanam, and we'll also be joined by Matt Bell throughout the day. Wherever you're watching, however you may be tuning in, thank you for making us a part of your weekend, even if you're in the office, or if you're at home, or even at your local tournament store. But don't concentrate too hard on this if you're dueling right now. We don't want any accidents. This year is an unprecedented World Championship. We are introducing a brand new event. In addition to the regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Championship and the Dragon Duel World Championship, this will be the inaugural event for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links World Championship. And I know you're pretty excited about that,
yeah,
huh?
That's an event I'm very excited about, especially after seeing the deck lists that the duelists are using for the event. There's a huge variety in the decks they're competing with. And it's an interesting format where each duelist will be using 3 different characters using 3 different skills. So we're certain to see a ton of variety.
Now, one of the interesting things is that despite the different characters and different skills, they don't necessarily need to play 3 different decks if they've got the cards for it.
That's correct. They can use different characters using the same deck. However, a lot of the decks in Duel Links are built around certain skills. So there is a disadvantage to using the same deck, being forced to use different skills with that deck, as one might be more powerful than another.
Unless, of course, there are 2 different skills that work with that particular setup.
That is true too, and that does exist.
So,
I think.
Yeah, we'll see if strategy like that plays out.
Yes.
So there are a lot of different decks on the Duel Links side, but on the regular trading card game side, this format seems to have solidified into a 2-horse race. One, True Draco, the deck that dominated the, well, actually, it didn't really dominate the North American WCQ, but it did win.
It did win with a minor Zodiac engine. However, the Zodiacs this weekend are nowhere in sight as the special World Championship Forbidden and Limited list takes out most of the top contenders from that deck.
Now, if you want to check out exactly what rules the duelists are playing under this weekend, and the rules that you at home will be playing under this weekend, if you participate in the OTS celebrations of the World Championship, you can find those on Yu-Gi-Oh! Card.com. Head over to Organized Play, and you'll be able to find everything you need to know about your World Championship celebration. So if you get a chance to head out to that this weekend, absolutely do that. But as a result, Zodiac Broad Bull and Zodiac Trident and Zodiac Barrage are all forbidden in this event. And Zodiac Wrap here is limited to 1, so you don't really have that mini engine to summon Decode Talker that you might want to use as well. So we're not expecting to see many Zodiac cards, or any Zodiac cards, this weekend.
No.
True Dracos, on the other hand, they're all over the place.
They're everywhere, and dinosaurs as well.
Now, we didn't see a whole lot of the dinosaur deck in the qualifying season in North America or Europe, but it's been pretty big over here in Japan for quite some time now. Now, in this particular tournament, one of the natural predators of the dinosaur decks, it's very special summon heavy, is Max C. But Max C, due to its limited status outside of Japan, is also limited for this event, and that gives the dinosaur combo deck with Yang Zing a huge advantage. And we're going to see a lot of players piloting that today.
Yes, a lot of duelists are counting on the cards they can discard from their hand to disrupt the opponent's plays. And because of that, we're also seeing a spike in the popularity of Skullmeister, which a lot of duelists were talking about and looking for copies of to use this weekend.
On Thursday, we had many duelists who made a special trip, an extra trip to Akihabara. Well, I mean, it's fun anyways, but they had a particular purpose in mind, to go find as many copies of Skullmeister as possible for their decks.
Yes, and that's a card we really haven't seen much success for in the United States recently, but appears to be a defining card this weekend.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if we see a whole lot of that. And of course, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, which has been a tournament staple since it came out in Maximum Crisis, is also seeing a lot of play here.
Yes.
All right, now forget all that about dinosaurs for the moment, because our first feature match is between Aaron Furman of the United States and Ryan Slott from Oceania, Australia, I believe.
Yes.
And they are both playing with True Draco decks, although they're doing it 2 different ways.
That's right. Slott is using an interesting build that involves Alistair, the Invoker.
Yes, I actually like the Invoked deck a lot. The thing with True Draco is that it doesn't really have access to its extra deck very often, because you just don't really want to consolidate those True Dracos, smaller True Draco monsters, into extra deck monsters. But here, now notice that the new rules are in effect. So basically what we're using is all the cards up through Starter Deck Link Strike, but not Code of the Duelist. But that also includes the changes to the rules that add the extra monster zone. And True Draco doesn't really use that a whole lot.
That's right.
So what Ryan Slott has done here, and you can see he's activated Magical Meltdown to get Alistair the Invoker, is that he's decided to make use of that extra zone and the special summoning capabilities and power that comes with it by adding the invoked cards.
Yes. So Magical Meltdown hits the field, and Alistair gets summoned to search for Invocation.
And one of the great things is that you don't just lose your normal summon for the turn on Alistair the Invoker, because the effects of the True Draco continuous spells give you additional summons to use on your tribute summons.
That's right. It's really cool. It's interesting. Furman, while not taking advantage of the invoked monsters in his extra deck, is actually using those extra deck slots differently to use popular monsters that he can hit with Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, which he uses 3 copies of in the side deck.
Yeah, so if you didn't have Skullmeisters, or you couldn't get your Skullmeisters in time for this event, the backup strat is Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries to take out Denlong.
Yes, that's likely to be a defining synchro monster in this format.
So we're still shuffling up after the search for Invocation. Now is Aaron Furman using Metaltron 12? Because that was the other interesting tech card that I've been seeing a lot of in these deck lists, but I don't remember if he's one of them.
He is not. I thought I only saw one duelist using it, but there might have been another.
There are at least 2, but one of them could be over in the Dragon Duels.
Ah.
So Metaltron 12 is the slightly bigger brother than Masterpiece, who wasn't ever quite as successful.
Yeah, but that card's insane.
Yeah, he's got bigger numbers on him, and he can become immune to all 3 things, but he hasn't really seen a whole lot of play because he's just not as efficient.
Yeah, so Slot activates Wonder Wand, which is fantastic here, as he gets to trade in his Alistair for 2 new cards, and an Alistair in the graveyard is almost as valuable as an Alistair on the field.
It's probably even better because you got the extra value out of it.
Absolutely.
Now the thing to note is that Invocation can banish that Alistair from the graveyard. Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix is activated, and Slot uses its extra normal summon ability to tribute summon Dynamite Knight, and then follows up with True Draco Heritage, activates its other effect to draw 1 card as 1 True Draco or True King type of card was sent from the field to the graveyard.
This goes back to what you were saying earlier. Even though he technically used a normal summon on Alistair, it was irrelevant since he was able to gain the additional 1.
And as you can see, he's essentially normal summoned 2 more times thanks to each of his spells.
Yep.
So he's got Ignis Heat and Majesty Maiden, and you can see Aaron Furman shaking his head. This is a way better opening than he really wanted to play against in round 1 of the World Championship.
Yeah.
Pot of Desires follows up next, banishing the top 10 cards face down to get Ryan Slot 2 more cards from the deck.
Furman either doesn't have the Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs that he runs 3 copies of to stop it, or declines to stop it with Ash Blossom.
I feel like he would have used it
I think so too.
significantly earlier, probably on the Wonder Wand.
Plays to Furman. Furman certainly looks like he's behind.
Yeah, the problem is, as soon as he starts activating cards, Slot is going to start getting even more cards.
Yes.
He's got both Ignis Heat and Dynamite Knight.
So that'll get him a spell and a trap card.
Well, you can only use 1 each. But that also plays to Slot's advantage in that after the first card, he can search with 1, and then based on that information, even if Furman changes his plays, Slot can change his plays as well to go get the other trap card if he needs it.
Yes.
So basically decide whether he's going to get Return or Apocalypse.
Of course, no duel here is over until it's actually over. These are all the best players in the entire world. If anyone can turn it around, it's the players in this tournament.
I like that start. He sets True Draco Apocalypse and then tributes it off for his regular normal summon for the turn for his own Dynamite Knight.
The effect of Apocalypse activates, and he's able to destroy 1 monster on the field.
The good thing here is that he gets to choose which one, so he can force Slot to make the decision that's most beneficial to himself first. And it appeared that he had chosen Dynamite Knight to get a trap out there.
Yes.
Slot's thinking about it. And because Slot has chained here, that means that Furman's own Dynamite Knight can activate. So that's going to be pretty good. It gets him 2 tributes on the field. If he could get a True Draco spell card... Oh.
Okay, so Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit will destroy the Dynamite, but it will not negate its effect.
Correct.
So Furman will still be able to play a trap card from his deck, a True King card.
He's going to get Return. That's a good idea, because he can go ahead and get back Dynamite.
Yes. Then the chain will resolve. Dynamite's destroyed. True King's Return hits the field, and now Slot gets to choose which trap card he wants.
There are 2 possibilities. One is True King's Return, which we saw from Furman. It has 2 abilities. One that special summons a True Draco or True King from the graveyard each turn. However, that is the only special summon you get for the turn. The other one is during your opponent's turn, you can tribute summon during their main phase. And those are its on-field effects. It has a third effect if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, which targets and destroys a monster.
Yes, that's one of the most powerful things about all of the True Draco spell and trap cards.
And that is what happened to Slot's Dynamite Knight.
Yes.
True King's Return is on both sides of the field. And we shuffle up. So it's going to be interesting to see where Furman goes from here. One way to deal with a situation like this is to just try to get Masterpiece onto the field. In these decks, there aren't a whole lot of spell cards that can deal with Masterpiece. So if you can get it with a monster and trap immunity, that essentially protects it from all of the major things you're going to have to deal with here. Slot's advantage, though, is that he has that extra deck capability.
That's true.
And he can just get something that's far bigger than Masterpiece, which he can because he can boost any of his invoked monsters over it by discarding the Alistair. Pot of Desires is up next. And that gets hit by the Ash Blossom.
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Ugh.
Furman banished the top 10 cards of his deck face down, gone from the duel for good, and gets nothing in return.
That's going to make you sweat in round 1 of the game. So Slot, out of all of his draws on the first turn, gets not only a very impressive board, he also gets the cards in hand to back it up with both Ghost Ogre and Ash Blossom.
All right, Furman sets one card to the back row and play passes to Ryan Slot.
Not looking super great for Slot. What do we have on Furman's side in terms of traps? Is it just the Draco cards, or does he have something else?
He uses, in addition to 3 copies of True Draco Apocalypse and True King's Return, he is using a Skill Drain, a Solemn Warning, and 2 Solemn Strikes, which I believe are the maximum allowed in this tournament.
Yes, that's correct. Solemn Strike is semi-limited in Japan, therefore it is semi-limited for this tournament. And if you're wondering how that list is decided, it's basically we take the FNL lists from all over the world, combine them together, and whatever the lowest number of a card that's allowed is the number it's allowed at.
Wow, Slot had Max C, and when Furman used the effect of his True King's Return to bring back Dynamite, he chained it.
No reason not to, because that's the only special summon in Furman's deck.
Yeah. That's a powerful opening hand for Slot.
Yeah. And he got how many extra cards in that first turn? He got 2 draws off of Wonder One, he got a search off of Alistair, he got 2 more draws off of Pot of Desires, and he got another draw off of True Draco Heritage. So he essentially got more than an extra starting hand off of his various draw cards. And that's why many players believe that True Draco is the best deck for this tournament.
Yeah. Seems to be a split opinion, though, as a lot of players are playing the Dinosaur deck.
It is, and it's very along territorial lines. So North America has very largely gone with True Draco. Japan has very largely gone with dinosaurs. Only one member of each team has dissented and played the other.
Interesting. We'll see how those duelists do compared to the rest of their teammates.
And we do see that Furman had the strike, and he's able to take out Ignis Heat there. If he is to make a comeback, that is how it starts. And now he activates the Tribute Summoning effect and gets that Masterpiece down there, immune to monsters and traps. And that is what Furman needs to happen if he's going to get back in this duel.
That's exactly what he needed. What spells does Slot play that can destroy it?
None.
All right, he's likely going to need to attack over it.
He has to attack over it. So he's got the Invocation that he can use to pull out something. But with Masterpiece immune to monster effects, I would assume that he would want to play Mechaba, but I don't believe that works here because if Furman... Yeah, it won't be able to negate the effect of Masterpiece because it's immune to monster effects. So it goes with Cositus. Ah, that's one that we don't see a whole lot. That is a very high defense monster, and it is, I believe, invulnerable to card effects, but I will check that for you in just a moment. Alright, the Slot continues. Let's see if he brings back his Alistair.
Cositus alone won't get over the Masterpiece since it only has 2,900 defense points, so I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here.
He now special summons back Ignis Heat, and that's the last special summon he can do this turn. After you resolve that special summon, that's it for the turn. And indeed, Invoke Cositus cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And and it can attack while in defense position. Not quite as good as the Super Heavy Samurai, though. It has to use its attack points, and they are not very good. They are 1800. So even with the boost from Alistair, it would not be enough. Could he have double Alistair?
I don't know. Furman looks worried. He suspects Slot might have something that can overcome Masterpiece.
And he does indeed bring Alistair back to the hand. We're going to check quickly to see if the dreaded hard once per turn is on Alistair. It is not. Send from your hand to the graveyard, target a fusion, gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of the turn. So if he had double Alistair, he could get past Masterpiece here. And there's not a whole lot Furman can do with it because Cositus can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Now this is the advantage we were talking about that you get by including the extra deck monsters that you normally would not. I really like Slot's choices here.
Slot sets one card to the back row. Looks
like Furman's breathing a bit of a sigh of relief.
If it's a spell, though, Cosmic Cyclone, so it's destroyed by Masterpiece. Suddenly, things are looking fantastic for Furman.
Yeah, Slot will be able to buy a turn for his Cositus. But it looks like Furman has got what he needs to try to turn the corner on this one. The problem is there's going to be this kind of constant revival effect where Slot will have a chance to dig for even more cards. It's going to take a while to get through that if all he has is Masterpiece. Now we see Furman activates Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, and he's going to use it to Tribute Summon. Yeah, that's a good one, Majesty Maiden.
Yes.
Majesty Maiden is going to help him to get more threats to try to get through this board faster and get some damage into Slot before he can recover.
He'll use the effect of Disciples, or at least he's considering using the effect of Disciples. If he uses it, he can destroy True King's Return or Magical Meltdown if you'd rather. Looks like he's contemplating which of the two he would prefer to destroy. True King's Return has an effect that keeps Slot alive longer, but if it's destroyed, Slot would be allowed to use its effect to destroy a monster on the field.
Yeah, so. And that's 100% why this is happening, is because he needs Majesty Maiden to sit there and start bringing up more cards.
Yes. Now Masterpiece attacks the Invoked.
2950, Slot's considering whether or not he's going to use his Alistair to defend or keep it to normal summon next turn. I really think Majesty Maiden has been underrated by a lot of people.
Yeah, the deck lists are actually interesting because a lot of players are using 3 copies, and a lot of players are using none or maybe 1. So it seems that the opinion of Majesty Maiden drastically differs among top competitors, and I think a lot of the indecisiveness is actually drawn along regional lines as well, where players from certain countries favor it more than others. Looks like I think the U.S. players are actually running more Ignis Heats, it seems.
Yeah, we saw that at the WCQ. I actually I prefer Majesty Maiden in this particular format.
Yeah,
because I think it's important to be able to continually play so few monsters, right? And you need to be able to keep getting them out of your deck, especially Masterpiece, since it's limited to 1 in this tournament. Yes,
that's a big deal, and also Draconic Diagram is also at 1, so it makes it harder to dig for Masterpiece. Furman is using 2 copies of Maiden and 2 copies of Ignis Heat, so he's sort of hedged.
And it looks like Maiden got taken out by... Was she taken out by Ghost Ogre?
I think True King's Return.
Oh, True King's
Looks
Return.
like it was destroyed. So it probably destroyed the Maiden. It appears that Slot opted not to protect his invoked monster with Alistair. He let it get destroyed, and here comes a new invocation.
Okay, so what happened there was Ash Blossom negated Majesty Maiden, and then after the True King's Return was destroyed, it in turn destroyed Majesty Maiden. So Ryan Slot picking up a lot of cards that he can just play straight from his hand. He's got multiple Ash Blossom, the Ghost Ogre, Max C. But that's what happens when you can draw through that many cards of your deck.
Yeah. Invoked Rage in here.
I like Invoked Rage in a lot. It is Book of Moon on legs. And that's what you get for fusing Alistair with a wind monster. Now, Invocations, important to note, can fuse from either player's graveyard.
Yes, so that really broadens the attributes that it can use as materials, which makes it really easy to grab the monster you need. Unfortunately, Raging is still weaker than Masterpiece, and Masterpiece is still immune to monster effects.
Yep, doesn't do anything about Masterpiece.
So if he could use Alistair to increase its attack points, but he's summoned in defense mode, so it looks like he doesn't have it.
No, you can't increase Raijin quite enough to defeat Masterpiece there. I believe Raijin only has 1,800 to start.
I thought it was higher. Let me check.
Is it 22?
I thought it was. I thought it was at least 2,000, which is all it needs. It's 22.
Okay.
2,200, but he's on the defensive against Masterpiece.
Yeah, Masterpiece would just destroy Raijin in that case.
Yeah, so these invocations are summoning really cool, really powerful monsters, but they're just getting destroyed by Masterpiece.
Pot of Duality comes down for Furman. You can see True Draco Apocalypse. He's got the super rares from the newest OTS pack, which I think look quite nice. Same with the Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. Looking between that, Cosmic Cyclone and Ash Blossom. That's an interesting choice. I think I like Cosmic Cyclone here because you want to be able to preempt another trap, or at least when it's flipped to take it out.
Yeah.
But given all of the searching effects that Ryan's been up to, I can certainly understand why he's taking Ash Blossom here. It's one way to stop the Alistair train.
Yeah, and Masterpiece is just taking this duel back one monster at a time.
Furman has quite a big supply of continuous cards in his graveyard. Shuffling up. Looking into your soul at home. And we're going to finish this shuffle and get back to the action.
Players want to make sure their decks are sufficiently randomized. If ever there was an important time for it to be, I would say the 2017 World Championship is one of them.
17.5 minutes have elapsed. There are 22.5 minutes left in this round. Now, this tournament, unlike previous World Championships, uses timing rules that are most similar to the rest of the World's tournaments. So, in previous years, it was 1 hour allowed per round, and here it's 40 minutes, like it is at every other level of play.
Masterpiece attacks and destroys Raging.
If time runs out in this match, we will go to the 5-turn end of match procedure.
And that's because there are draws, correct?
There are draws for day 1. Ash Blossom negates Alistair. And that's going to cut off Slot's source of free cards. Terraforming's up next, though. Ooh. Well, that's pretty good. So, Alistair baits out the Ash Blossom, but Slot had Terraforming, which is, coincidentally, it's semi-limited in this tournament, to get Dragonic Diagram, which is regular limited. So that could be...
So Furman uses his Masterpiece's effect to destroy the diagram, and since that's the only one in the deck, he no longer needs to worry about it. That's a much stronger play in this tournament than it was in previous tournaments back in the United States, as a lot of times destroying diagram would just prompt your opponent to activate another one.
Yeah, especially if you had 3 copies of Terraforming, 3 Dragonic Diagrams, and actually another card that's seeing a lot of play here to either replace Terraforming or just to play an extra package of cards that gets you more searching for the cards you need and other cards that will mess up your opponent is Set Rotation.
Yes, Set Rotation is huge, especially among the players who are local to this area.
And it seems like a lot of the players from overseas in our territories have picked up on it as well. We spent a lot of time wondering, so what do we do if we have Gateway of Chaos added to our field? How do we get rid of this without spending any of our own cards? And the best I was able to come up with was run a copy of Lord Gaia the Fierce Knight in your deck. Get that 2300 Cyber Dragon.
Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight is actually, was a card that was used a lot in Duel Links during the qualifying round for this World Championship. I did not see it, however, in any of the deck lists for this weekend.
No, they wouldn't play Swift Gaia. They play Lord Gaia.
Lord
Gaia
is
Swift
Lord
Gaia.
Gaia.
Lord Gaia is from the movie pack. Remember, that's the one from the movie when Yugi infinite loops Igami.
Ah.
Cool. That's the one that keeps changing its attack points whenever something bigger shows up. Yeah, if you haven't seen that scene in the movie, go watch the movie. Go watch Dark Side of Dimensions. It's fantastic. You'll love it.
It's a great movie. You can get any Gaia though, right? With Dimension.
Any Gaia the Fierce Knight, yes. It's just I like
Chaos,
Lord Gaia because it's a cyber dragon, but bigger.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking Swift Gaia.
Because you've been playing all this Duel Links.
It is all that Duel Links. I have been playing a lot of Duel Links.
That's okay. We got round 2 of Duel Links next after this.
I'm excited for it. Looks like Furman takes the first round as Slot was unable to beat Masterpiece.
Yeah, at this point you concede for time.
Yeah.
And one thing that we do note is why that took a little while is when you are conceding here at the World Championship, you basically have to get it approved to make sure that it is not for any untoward reasons.
Yes.
There's a lot of fierce competition at this event, and we just want to make sure that everything is on the level. So these players will get back the time that it took to get Andrew over there. Oh, Andrew Bowling is your head judge for this tournament. If you're watching us in North America and have played in a major Yu-Gi-Oh event, particularly YCS's, you know who Andrew Bowling is. He's always there. And he's also one of the most experienced judges on the World Championship level as well. So all of our duelists are in excellent hands this weekend with Andrew and his team.
Absolutely.
As for side decks, well, it's interesting that Slot is kind of side decking into the Card of Demise build. So he's got his Invocations, Wonder Wands, and stuff in the main deck, but Card of Demise is so good and so powerful that he felt the need to add it to his side deck to switch in between games. And I'm wondering exactly what his plan on that is. Is it a if I'm going first versus going second kind of thing? What do you think about that? Like what would make you side deck Card of Demise instead of just playing it?
Might be the matchup. It might be in this matchup, it's better than it would be in the Dinosaur matchup, where you are liable to get destroyed pretty quickly.
I think this is going to be a first versus second.
You think just going first is better to Guard of Demise?
Yeah, because he's also got his Solemns all on the side deck.
That could be.
So presumably because he knows he's going to get the chance to go first in this duel, he's going to side in his Solemns and all of his draw cards and just try to do a lot of what he did in the first duel and power through his deck as fast as possible. But this time try not to lose to Masterpiece.
Yes. Another thing actually Robert Boyajian was telling me about. In the United States, a lot of players were reluctant to use Card of Demise with a bunch of monsters whose effects activate from your hand during your opponent's turn.
Right.
We are not seeing that this weekend. Players are not afraid of that. If they're willing to take the risk of drawing Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring or Max C or Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit after activating Card of Demise because the card is too powerful for them to not play in this tournament.
And not only is it that powerful, there's also the whole numbers argument. You have fewer Card of Demises than you do all those other cards.
That too.
And it's not like, let's say you're going second, you're going to get a chance to play those cards anyways.
Yes. Card of Demise is semi-limited in this tournament.
Correct.
And Furman is using 2 copies in his main deck.
Yes. And Slot had him inside as well. Looking around the tournament, let's see how the rest of Team North America is getting on. In the main event, well, you know where Aaron Furman is. He's right here. But also Kenny Nguyen from the United States is taking on the reigning world champion, Shinsuke Hiyama, over on Table 9. Richard Jam, he's from Canada. He's taking on Marcello Barberi from Italy. Roland Fang from the United States is taking on Daniel Stella, also from Italy. Jesse Cotton from Canada, he is the highest point total duelist. He's taking on Chua Shen Fei Milton, Singapore. Billy Brake, the second place in our world qualifying points chase, is taking on Ryosuke Sujimura from Japan. The U.S. top points getter Isala Watatantrige is taking on Joshua Schmidt, another powerful duelist who Billy Brake has faced off against at many points. Hopefully they will get another chance to go at it today. But he's playing Isala first.
Yes. We're going to see a lot of all-stars facing off in this tournament, as only the best in the world were invited to compete, and there are so few players in the tournament itself.
And it looks like we are just about ready to start off our second duel here. Ryan Slot starts with the monster face down. You don't see that a whole lot.
No, that's probably not where he wanted to be.
Oh no, I see what he's doing. He's probably just going to jam Masterpiece.
All right, that's not a bad place to be. Max C was the tributed monster.
That makes sense because there's only one thing. The only problem is that he's left it vulnerable to trap cards, and that's where all the really nasty removal is in this matchup.
That is true. So True Draco Heritage allows a slot to draw 1 card, thanks to the Tributed Phoenix.
And that's it. Place to Furman. Well, it certainly wasn't as explosive for Ryan Slott in terms of sheer amount of cards drawn, but he does get Masterpiece to the field.
Yeah. With a continuous spell in the graveyard.
Furman activates Twin Twisters.
He's targeting his own card and the True Draco Heritage.
That's got to be a
It's
Draco trap.
definitely, True Draco
is.
Trap card taking down the Masterpiece already.
It is. As soon as Masterpiece hits the field for Slot, it bites the dust.
And then
oh no!
Heritage to draw 3 cards.
Draw 3 because it counts both sides.
Oh man!
Monster Spell and Trap all to the graveyard. Aaron Furman is just destroying Ryan Slot.
An incredible start for Furman.
Well, that's a fantastic start, but now he has to capitalize on it.
He does. We saw Slot had a very good start last duel and just wasn't able to capitalize on it.
Slot's not going to have the advantage of Masterpiece anymore, though.
That is for sure. That's the biggest problem here.
Tributes a face down True King's Return. Gets Dynamite Knight. Dynamite Knight gets in there for 2,500. Oh.
It's looking rough for Slot already.
Aaron Furman turning up the heat. Sets 2 more cards face down. No Masterpiece in sight, so Slot still has a shot on this one. But if Furman can lock in another monster and trap immune Masterpiece, that'll be all she wrote. Slot thinks about it. Checks his graveyard. He's got to do something. 13 minutes are left in the round.
Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. He activates it. He could use it to draw a card if he wants to get rid of all the True Draco cards in his graveyard.
I think he would want to.
Yep.
Because that gets Masterpiece back into the deck at least. Actually, is it only spells and traps or just True Draco, True King cards?
I believe it's both.
Both.
But we should confirm that.
Yeah, let's just confirm that.
Yeah.
I
Either
don't
way-
actually see that effect used very often.
Either way, Dynamite activates, and he gets to activate True King's Return from his deck face up.
And it is True Draco or True King card. So yeah, Masterpiece can get back into the deck. And we also have an update for you from the Duel Links World Championship. At Duel Links Table 2, BOA Fan is the winner. Table 3, Fresh Allen is the winner. Table 4, Tutpup is the winner. And these are their screen names, of course, for Duel Links.
Another cool thing about Duel Links, you can always play in ranked duels, and if you do, you're paired against a random opponent around your level, and you may play against one of these Duel Links celebrities without even knowing it.
Alright, so we are shuffling up here. And it looks like we're about ready to resume action with just over 11 minutes to go in the round. Ryan Slott needs to come back to try to push this to a third game and at least give him a shot at a draw. Taking a loss in the first round would be hugely devastating because you only get 5 rounds.
Yes.
After 5 rounds today, well, here's your tournament schedule for the main event. There will be 5 rounds of Swiss today. After those 5 rounds, we will cut to a top 8 and we will play the quarterfinals tonight. That's right, the quarterfinals will be tonight following round 5. After that, the 4 remaining players will be the ones that advance to Sunday. So that's another way that we are breaking from tradition this year.
Yes. Slot uses the Draco Phoenix card, as we predicted, to send back all of the True Draco and True King cards in his graveyard to draw 1 additional card.
I've got a further update in the main event. On Table 8, Alejandro Garcia is the winner. He was taking on Maxime Abremont from France. Updates on where our Duel Links winners are from. Tutpup is a duelist from Sweden. Fresh Allen is from Puerto Rico. And BOA Fan is from South Korea.
Slot is prepared to draw 1 card, and he needs a good one.
Let's see what he's got. Still got a few cards in hand there. Ooh, Alistair the Invoker. That's not a bad one.
Definitely not a bad one. He sort of shrugged when he drew it.
If he gets hit by a strike, though, that could hurt.
Yeah.
Let's see if what Furman's got.
Unless he already has the invocation.
Well, he's not allowed to activate the effect if he has the invocation. That would be cheating.
There's only one copy in his deck?
Only one
Is that
copy.
correct? Yeah, okay. You are correct.
He activates Ash Blossom to negate it.
Slot knew he had it because Furman added it to his hand with Pot of Duality, so perhaps that was the bait for this terraforming.
Yep, we saw this exact move in the last duel, and this time Masterpiece isn't there to take out the diagram.
Yep. And lucky for Slot, his Masterpiece is still in the deck, thanks to the True Draco Phoenix.
True Draco Apocalypse destroys a True Draco or True King card on the field to have the attack and defense of all your opponent's monsters permanently. And it destroys True Draco Heritage, and when it's sent to the graveyard, he's able to destroy Dragonic Diagram. That just shows you the power of the True King spell and trap cards.
Yeah, they're very interesting interactions. They play off one another very well, and I think that's where a lot of the strength of the deck comes from.
And True Draco Apocalypse also has the Tribute Summoning effect that you see on True King's Return.
Of course.
In addition to the Monster Destroying effect, of course. All right. Well, Plan A didn't work. Plan B didn't work.
Let's see Plan C.
We're up to Plan C. First, we have to finish Plan S and shuffle up Ryan's deck. Gives Slot a little more time to think over his moves.
It does.
Time in short supply, though.
Yeah.
With 8 minutes left in the round.
Time is in short supply.
Plus a little bit of stoppage time for needing to call a judge for the concession in Game 1.
Slot sets a card to his back row and play passes to Furman.
Furman looking to close this thing out before Slot has a chance to get back in.
Oh, Dynamite attacks. Alistair's destroyed. That's a good start.
1,500 more damage done. Ryan Slot's now playing on Duel Links life points.
Slot draws and needs another good card.
Got nothing, shakes his head.
Card of Demise.
Now he's got some other stuff.
That's a pretty good card.
It's 3 more good cards.
Hopefully good for Slot.
And as he takes a look at that, we've got another update for you. Looks like Billy Break has been defeated in the first round by Ryosuke Sugimura. So just to update you again, main event wins, Alejandro Garcia defeats Maxime Abrimont from France. And Ryosuke Sugimura of Japan defeats Billy Break from the United States.
Furman uses the effect of Dynamite Knight. He'll be able to grab another trap card.
Now the great thing is he doesn't even have to fill up his entire field here if he doesn't want to.
Could add to his hand.
Those 2 cards let them add to the hand as well. So if you want to keep a slot open for something, you can do so.
He might do that just to thin the deck.
It's not too much of a hassle though, since he's got the Apocalypse is there. You can just take out another card
true.
if he needs to.
You can destroy them at will.
Actually, this is something that I told the viewers over on the North American WCQ stream. But there was a point in development when all True King Apocalypse said for its targeting was target 1 True Draco or True King trap, or card you control.
Oh?
Can you see the problem with this?
Yeah, bro. True Kings.
It can target itself,
Target itself as well.
making it one of the best trap cards
True
ever.
Draco
printed.
or True King.
Yes. So what we were doing in testing was just using it in every deck under the sun and having it destroy itself to have everything and destroy monsters.
I misunderstood. I thought you said it only True Kings.
No, True King
or
True
rather
Draco.
True Draco, but then Matt assumed couldn't destroy itself. No, that would be insane. That would be just a trap card that destroys a monster.
Yeah.
At worst.
Yep, that was one of the many things that changed. In Duel Links, we have another result for you. Koizumi. Koizumi is the winner in Duel Links.
Okay. Slot tributes Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix to summon Ignis Heat. He uses the Disciples' effect. He now gets to target a back row card to destroy it.
The thing with screen names is funny. So there are duelist Koizumi, who you might think is from Japan, is not. He's actually the duelist from Italy.
Oh.
Such is the magic of screen names. At table 2, we have another main event result. Roland Fang has defeated Daniel Stella of Italy on table 2.
Fang is the renegade dinosaur player, right?
He is.
Solemn Strike is, yes, that's right. Solemn Strike is activated on Ignis Heat.
Ignis Heat is out. Furman takes his first life loss of the duel. And Ryan Slott, despite getting that card of demise, has not been able to get those cards to stick. But how about another 2? Why not?
That could help.
If you draw 3 cards, why not draw 5 cards instead?
True Draco Apocalypse went down thanks to the Disciples' effect on Slott's side of the field. In case anyone at home was wondering what happened to that. The strike then negated and destroyed the Ignis Heat when its effect activated.
Still a lot of work to be done for Slott, and not a lot of time left to do it as he sets 3 cards face down and ends his turn.
He has no hand to discard in the end phase, so it's the perfect way to use Card of Demise.
If Furman can get another monster on the field, he can probably take this, because I don't know what could be there to stop it. It could be a combo of Waterfall of Dragon Souls and a True King Trap that could put a monster in the way.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't see a whole lot that Slott could do if Furman could field another attacker.
Yeah, of course, Furman doesn't know he's not playing one of the Mirror Forces or something like that.
That's true.
And you see 4 back rows, it could be scary.
And he does not have another monster anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. 1,000 points left for Slott.
Slott
2.5 minutes to go.
Slott will need to trust in the heart of the cards to get exactly what he needs here.
And I noticed that it was in fact the card of demise. He did side it in for going first, because it wasn't in his deck to begin with.
Second Pod Desires. He couldn't use it last turn because you can only activate 1 per turn, but he's really running out of cards in his deck since he just banished 20 of them.
And he is playing 16, 18, 34, 41. 41 cards.
Nevertheless, Furman uses, again, Dynamite's effect and gets to play True King's Return from his deck face up on the field. He's gradually just amassing cards that pull him ahead of Slott, even with all of Slott's card drawing.
And with, well, that's part of the power of the smaller True Kings and True Dracos. Those are really the backbone of the deck.
Yes.
Masterpiece is just what you use to physically win the duel, but the smaller ones are what makes it so that you can't lose.
Yes.
We have another main event result for you. From table 4, Yun Kang Ho defeats J.Y. Sharif of the UK. That is Yun Kang Ho of Malaysia, I believe, defeating J.Y. Sharif of the UK. Alright, and it looks like we've got our final cut, and action is continuing with 1 minute to go. 1 minute remaining in the round.
Doesn't look like there's a lot of cards left in Slott's deck.
No, this duel is going to end sooner or later.
Yeah. You might have less than 5 cards there.
I definitely think it's going to be sooner. He's banished 20. He's drawn 5 in a single turn. And another 2 right there. That's 27, plus his starting hand. It's 32. He's got not a whole lot left. I just don't think there's enough cards in existence over there on his side of the field to get through all 6,500 of Furman's life points, even if he were to pull off a miracle.
I think you're right.
Goes to the battle phase. Attacks for game.
That's it. Does he have a trap card that can stop the attack and keep him in the duel?
He flips True Draco Apocalypse. Does not use its effect. He's going to have to flip another True Draco card and then destroy.
Flips another Apocalypse.
Okay, and then in the damage step, he'll probably activate the effect to have, since it's an effect that changes the attack and defense. and then have it destroy Dynamite Knight. And doing it that way also stops Furman from adding a trap to his hand if he wants to, because they can't activate in the damage step.
If he wanted to, I suppose he could have changed it to the original activation of the True Draco Apocalypse.
Now he goes ahead and special summons back Dynamite Knight. And it has to be in defense. So Slot's safe for now. But time has run out in the round, and we are now in stoppage time. And it looks like the stoppage time ran out as well. So I guess they had a very swift judge call on that concession.
Yes.
And we are now going to be in the first turn of overtime. Ryan Slot has the first turn of overtime, which means he will also have the last turn. What you do, essentially, is you count the current player's turn as turn 0. That's the last regular turn. And then 5 more turns following that.
Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix is pretty good here for Slot because he can send cards back into his deck. With his deck being so thin, he can send back the cards he wants to draw and has a high likelihood of drawing them. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of turns to draw them.
And while he is shuffling those back, we have another result for you from the main event. Just as soon as I've got the opponent for you. At table 3, Esala Watatantrige of the United States has defeated Joshua Schmidt of Germany, which is going to put him down in Billy Brake's bracket. So we might get a rather exciting matchup later on.
Wathu Tantrige has had an incredible year,
Yes.
being the points leader in the United States.
And like the way that people were grinding for these points, that really means something.
Yes.
It was not even close how big of a lead he had. He almost
Yes.
could not possibly lose it
Yeah.
at the WCQ. It was possible, but it was a very outside chance.
He just loves playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
It would have involved Jeff Jones making 7th place without actually winning his Worlds qualifying match, and Asala not making the top cut. That's basically what it would have taken. And we do have another update for you from the main event at Table 13. Table 13. Michael Forner has been defeated by Takayoshi Kasada. So Michael Forner of Italy has been defeated by Takayoshi Kasada of Japan at Table 13.
Slack drew 1 card from his deck with the Disciples and is again contemplating what to do. I really don't see a way out for him, especially given the few number of turns, but he certainly will not give up, especially at this level of competition.
There is no reason to surrender in this situation.
No. I'm not even sure they're allowed to surrender. There's no strategic benefit to it.
Disciples goes to the graveyard and Skill Drain is destroyed.
Slot sets 1 more to his back row, followed by another card. Wouldn't surprise me if we just see Furman use Crew King's Return and attack for game on his next turn with both monsters. Another card of Demise.
Oh my. I do wonder if Slot has any monsters in his deck.
Well, he sent Ignis Heat back with the Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, so he has at least that 1.
I just kind of get the impression that all the rest of them got banished by those 2 Pot of Desires.
It's very likely. He definitely doesn't have a lot, because we know half of his deck is just removed for good.
All right, we have another update for you. The results are starting to roll in now that we're into overtime. Over on Table 7, we have a draw. A draw between Chua Shen-Fei Milton and Jesse Cotton.
Jesse Cotton is only 17 years old and qualified for the World Championship on points.
Yes, he was the leader in Canada.
Yeah. It's an incredible experience to be flown here from Canada to Japan when you're 17 years old.
So we see the remaining cards in Slot's deck. It's 3 traps, 2 Ignis Heat, and he activated Magical Meltdown without having an Alistair in his deck. Which you can do. It's not like Gateway of Chaos. It's just you can't activate the searching effect if you don't have it in your deck, which he did.
Okay.
So essentially he has to show Furman the remaining cards in his deck, and then shuffle them up, and he takes a procedural error warning for it. Another change this year is that the caution penalty has been eliminated. These duelists are playing with the same competition rules that you and I do back home, essentially. Everybody who played in the WCQ knows how this works. You get warnings, and if you keep doing the same things, they get upgraded.
Yes. To game losses, and if repeated, could be a disqualification.
Hopefully we won't have anything like that. We'd like all of our matches to be decided by the duelists.
Yes.
End of his turn, Slot's forced to discard Solemn Warning.
Yep, that's due to the effect of Card of Demise, which let him draw cards.
And at this point, I think Slot's basically given up the idea of winning this duel, and just has to settle for getting Furman below 1,000 to try to get a draw.
I think that's going to be just as hard. Dynamite Knight attacks. Slot uses True Draco Apocalypse to destroy Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix.
And he's going to decide on a target for that, I believe.
He'll hit the face-down card, seeing no immediate threat from the 3 face-up cards.
It's Cosmic Cyclone.
That's been down for a while, right?
Yeah.
He's declining to activate it, I assume because they're in time.
Did did he get that from Upon Duality earlier in the duel, or was that last duel?
I think that was last duel.
Oh, that's right. It was Ash Blossom this duel.
Yes, he had the choice of Cosmic Cyclone and Ash Blossom. He went for the Ash Blossom. You're right. He could have changed it, right?
Yes.
He chose not to preserve life points.
I'm not sure what stopped the attack here. Did it look like he was attacking?
He did attack.
Oh, it's halved twice.
Oh, he used it to... Oh.
Yeah, that particular dynamite's been halved twice.
Oh, wait, because the halving is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, he's down to 375 life points. So, good observation. The attack was not stopped, but the halved attack points again let Slot stay in the duel.
And it's comedy at this point.
Yeah.
Slot's like, I'm probably not going to win this, but I'm going to keep having your monster until it gets to some incalculable small number, and then just blow it up.
I certainly admire him for continuing to duel here, with all odds against him.
Mm-hmm.
Shield King's return can just bring it back.
So yeah, Furman gets, I believe, one more turn. We don't have our helpful turn die on the field.
Yes, I think that's correct. I think he'll have one more turn. It's almost academic, though, because he can't lose unless Slot actually wins. Also, the likelihood that Slot gets Furman below 375, but not to 0, is pretty low.
You know, I'm feeling even better about this weekend. You just channeled Madden. Do you know how cool that is?
I have no idea.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to teach you about John Madden. Moving on, Ryan Slot has activated Imperial Order, so he gets one turn of spell free, and then he's not able to pay for it.
Yep. Actually, to get to that point, Furman used the Monarch Storm 4th to free up his back row and activate Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix to try to draw a card.
And this will be the last turn of the duel. This is turn 5. And Slot hasn't got a whole lot. He can't do anything.
Yes. Aaron Furman wins the duel in time and takes the match 2-0.
Very strong start for Furman. He looked a little nervous there.
Yeah, in the first duel, didn't look like it was going great for him, and then Masterpiece just turned it around. The second duel, he had a much stronger start, and his opponent had a much weaker start.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, in these duels, fortunes can swing in an instant.
Absolutely. That's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Between all of those draw cards and the power of Masterpiece, you know, all sorts of stuff can happen.
Yeah. That's just one of the great things about Yu-Gi-Oh!
So, I think really the turning point on that one was it's a tale of two masterpieces. The first one was immune to monsters and traps. The second one was not.
Yes.
The first one was victorious. The second one was immediately destroyed by a trap because it wasn't immune to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a key for this mirror match. And the thing is, if you can get your masterpiece immune to the right stuff.
Yes, although we did see Furman win that duel, I don't even think he summoned Masterpiece in the second duel.
No, I don't believe he did either.
So as much of an impact as Masterpiece has, it's far from critical to actually winning.
It was wild, though, because he had that one monster the entire time.
Yes.
That one Dynamite Knight went through all sorts of terrible troubles and trials and tribulations. He's been halved twice. He's gone to the graveyard. He's come back. I think there was a Majesty Maiden at some point, and she exploded, taken out by a trap card. But that Dynamite Knight, that was there for him.
It was Dynamite.
That was, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Got him there.
It really carried him in that duel. And Furman's hoping it'll carry him for the rest of the tournament as well, now that he proceeds 1-0.
So he is defeated Ryan Slott of Australia. And we've just got another match in. Let me get that for you. It's Table 5. Marcello Barberi has defeated Richard Yam of Canada. And at Table 9, Shunsuke Hiyama, our reigning world championship, has defeated Kenny Nguyen of the United States. So, the results are pouring in. If we get any more of them before we go off air, we will let you know about those. But back to this match in question, I thought Ryan Slott's side decking strategy was particularly interesting on going with the main decked invoked engine Alistair. And I wonder if the reasoning for that is that he thinks that's a better thing to have if you don't know whether you're going to go first or second, and he's playing to have more cards that he can run going second that give him more plays. So like anytime you get more summons, especially if they're of the quality of Alistair and the invoked cards, and they're not going to stop you from using your regular strategy, which they don't really, because your True Draco cards give you all the extra normal summons you need. I'm wondering if that's why he mained this instead of siding it, because I've seen people side this package, but main deck the Card of Demise and that sort of thing, but I haven't really seen it the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, he might have just done it because it's less expected, because it hasn't been seen. And since this is a unique format, it's bound to have a couple different strengths than it did in previous formats that have been played, both in North America and in Asia. So
that's one of the things that you kind of learn if you study the previous World Championship events, is that the element of surprise is huge. If you can come up with something that nobody was expecting. For example, in Rimini, the North American team came up with the Infernity deck that essentially nobody else was expecting, because he only just snuck in at the WCQ, and he was still playing the Infernity deck at WCQ, made it there, and then convinced the whole team to play. And did pretty well for them. The only players that didn't go with it didn't make it.
Interesting. It's also a different tournament because we don't have as many rounds here as you have at a YCS in the United States. So you really want your deck to have the potential to do great things. Sometimes not worrying as much about the consistency of it.
So you only got to get through 5 rounds. You only have to win 3.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to win 3 rounds today. Well, in years past, it was 5 rounds of Swiss, then 3 rounds of playoffs. So you'd have to win 3 rounds one day and 3 rounds the next day. Yep. It's so easy. You only have to win 6 rounds compared to 16.
Sometimes. I think some 3-2s didn't make it in past years. So, but even so, you can take more risks, which is kind of counterintuitive because for these players competing in the tournament of their lives, they want to play the safest deck possible. They don't want it's just natural to think, I want to play a deck that is consistent, that I'm comfortable with, that I know I will draw a hand that I can play well, and where I won't just lose the duel immediately because of bad draw.
And we've just received another, sorry to interrupt you, but we have received another update from the main event. Tayden Williams of Australia has been defeated by Pedro Salto of Mexico. So Pedro Salto of Mexico takes the win at Table 10, and there is only one table left in the main event. But yes, back to what we were saying about the element of surprise.
Yes.
I believe you're familiar with the duelist that I'm going to mention here, Jarrell.
I am.
Jarrell Winston a few years back.
He's from New York like me.
He brought Exodia to the World Championship in Japan a few years back. And certainly took everybody by surprise, made it all the way to the top 8.
Yeah, and that was actually another deck. Very powerful, but not that consistent.
Right.
But you don't need it to be that consistent when there's not as many rounds, but you do need it to be very powerful because you're playing against the best players in the world.
Well, I mean, you win the duel.
Yeah.
It's a powerful
It's
ability.
as powerful as it gets, and being able to do that quickly, early in the duel, without much interaction from the opponent to stop you, that's the type of surprising success we've seen in the past at the World Championship.
And the other element of strategy there is that if your deck is powerful and the side deck cards that work against the decks that everybody else is going to be playing don't work against yours, that's another huge advantage.
That is.
It is just massive. Because let's say you found a deck that Ash Blossom couldn't touch. Like,
Yeah.
imagine such a thing theoretically existed. I mean, I'm pretty sure all the good decks right now get cards from the deck in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, players are using a lot of anti-tribute cards, including Zombie World, and I even saw some Masker Restricts in the side deck. So the Invoked engine gets around that as well. So that might also be part of the decision to play the Invoked monsters in the deck. That players are using cards to beat True Greykos. No shock there. Players are not really using cards to beat Invocation.
Now, you mentioned Zombie World there. That's interesting because we hadn't really seen that at all until about 2 or 3 weeks ago when it started cropping up in deck lists that were scavenged up from the 4 corners of the globe.
Yeah, and now with set rotation being used as well, it's certainly seeing a surge in popularity.
And if you're wondering why Zombie World is being used in this particular context, go ahead, look it up on the card database at yu-card.com. You can find it under the gameplay section, the card database there, and look up Zombie World. We'll leave you until our next main event round to talk a little more about Zombie World, but go ahead and see if you can figure it out yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we might even come across it in a future match this weekend.
But it's a good thing to look through all these cards and see if you can work out why people are playing them on your own, because that's what's going to help you grow as a duelist. The more you study the cards, their possible interactions, how they work within certain packages of cards, like Zombie World is with set rotation, for example, and its other companion is Gateway to Chaos. So you would play set rotation to give yourself Zombie World and your opponent Gateway of Chaos.
Yeah, it also fits in well with decks that use terraforming to get your diagram, particularly because you can only use one copy of diagram in this format. So players are using terraforming just to get diagram, including Furman, actually, who's using 2 copies of terraforming with 1 diagram and nothing else to get with terraforming. But other duelists are using cards like Zombie World, so they have another option. If they've already drawn the diagram, used the diagram, lost the diagram. So it's, as you mentioned, part of a package.
And we've seen it a lot in another deck where it cropped up a lot is the ABC deck.
Yes.
That's right, ABC's making a comeback. And one of the reasons that it is making a comeback is because of Link Monsters. So ABC is a deck that can summon Decode Talker at a benefit, because if you send A, B, and C, example, to the graveyard, you can get all of their abilities and the abilities of anything that was equipped to them. But it also puts them in the graveyard so that you can summon them back. Or you could even just summon your ABC Dragon Buster to begin with, then split it up, use those cards to play Decode Talker, and then just play another one.
Yeah, but we do see players using Decode Talker in some of their extra decks. I think Slot was actually using Link Spider, right?
Link Spider as well, just in case he gets stuck with a token.
Yeah,
I believe is the idea there.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So there's only 3 Link monsters legal for this tournament. 2 of them made it onto deck lists.
Yep, the first batch of them in Link Strike is pretty strong.
They are. Maybe
not enough monsters to use Honeybot effectively quite yet, but we'll get there. We do have a structure deck coming up in just a couple of months called Cyber's Link that introduces more Link monsters and more Cyber's monsters, and a lot of very good Cyber's monsters too. So that'll be interesting to see in the future. So, we do not yet have the final round, however, or the final match. However, the next match is scheduled to start in about 20 minutes, a little bit over 20 minutes.
And that will be Duel Links, correct?
That will be we'll have our first introduction to Duel Links, and you'll get to see Matt for the first time. He'll be tagging in for me, and he'll be here with Michael, and you guys are going to have a great time with Duel Links, I think.
I'm very excited for Duel Links.
Super excited. All right, well, that is going to wrap it up for us for round 1. Don't go away. Please stay with us as long as you can tonight. I know it's late in some of the places, especially in Europe, but stick with us. It'll totally be worth it. Oh, hang on. We just got the last result, and it is a draw. It is a draw at table 11. All right, that is all of the results from round 1. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.